To get the formalities out of the way, my handle is Varner. It's consistent across different social platforms, just so I can find myself and I don't forget, because people do all kinds of stuff. So if you want to follow me or connect with me, please do that. So my name is Diane Varner, and I am the founder and executive director of a website called Gay Friendly Pennsylvania. Gay Friendly is an online business directory for the LGBTQ community. But I want to start off with a story. So when I was working on my master's degree in Stillwater, Oklahoma, at Oklahoma State University, my girlfriend at the time and I were walking down the street holding hands, and a young gentleman who was passing by in a truck leaned out the window and yelled, "Dyke!" And there was a moment of terror with us because we didn't know what was going to happen next. Were they going to stop? Were they going to keep going? At that moment, you have the important question of, am I safe? Is this a safe space for me? Luckily for us, he followed with, "That's really hot." And they just kept going. Straight men, I don't know. So all of that to say is that the LGBT community is finding itself in a situation where we don't feel safe. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to build the directory. So I'm working through a deliberate effort to find companies that open their doors to the LGBT community. I'm reaching out to them, and in doing this, I'm hoping to build a forum in which we can discuss inclusiveness, which is, it is a buzzword, but I think for people who are marginalized, people who are from underserved communities, it's very important to us to know where we can go, where we're not going to be harassed, where we're not going to be picked on, and we're not going to be called names, where we can just be and not be judged for that. And I wanted to create a stronger community for the LGBT community so that we know where we're safe and we're accepted. And if you followed along with the community in the Philadelphia area, you know that we internally have some issues with that. There are people who've gone into bars who have been chastised and discriminated against because they're people of color. And that's an issue within our own community. So the issue of inclusivity runs across a number of different aspects. So I've hit some challenges. When I first started the directory, I was working up in Newtown, Pennsylvania. I live in the city at 22nd and Reed. So you can imagine that I hiked up and down I-95 for about 2.5 years. It added about 12 hours to my commute, 52-hour work week. So reaching out to companies was difficult. Coming up with a content strategy and developing content was also difficult. Also, as I mentioned, within the LGBT community, there are different buckets we fit into. We're not a monolith. Everybody thinks of the gay community or gay pride as one big cohesive unit, but that's just really not the case. The L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, the I, the A, we all stand for something. There's different people with different needs. So being able to figure out what those needs were from the jump was really difficult. I'm a specific type of person. I'm queer, I'm gender fluid, I'm a lesbian, but I'm not a gay man, I'm not a person of color, and I'm not transgender. Okay, so being able to fit the needs of those people is very difficult. I don't know what they need without gathering more information. And then, when I first started the directory, I got a lot of questions about inclusivity. What does that mean? How are you vetting the companies? I didn't have an answer for that because I hadn't really thought too far in advance. What I was set out to do was build a community that would be stronger for people. I didn't really think through that concept. The advantage of doing this directory is that it put me in a position to think about that. To think about it in the broader community, to think about it within our own community, what that means. Inclusivity can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. If you're a company and you're serving people, who are you serving and how are you serving them? If you're hiring people, what are your hiring practices like? How are they inclusive? Are you checking off a box, or are you actually integrating people into your decision-making process? Do you have a corporate structure that allows for people of color to come in leadership positions? There's a number of different ways to look at inclusivity. As time has gone on, I've found, a lot of different ways to get over some of these challenges, to parse out what inclusivity means, to expand the conversation around who is being served and how they're being served, particularly with people of color and individuals with disabilities. To me, a strong community is a community that provides access to people to live more full lives without hindrance. And I believe that's possible. I've been able to gather data through website traffic, through Facebook, through Instagram to really understand who my audience is. My audience does skew more female. It skews younger, definitely younger on Instagram. I'm very happy to see that a lot of my audience on Instagram are kids in their teens. They're kids that really have an understanding of what their identity is, and they're willing to check that out. I can't say that in the 90s that I was really that forward thinking. So let me leave you with this thought, because I timed myself at home and I could swear. Okay, so I want to leave you with this thought. Understanding who you serve your digital tribe is absolutely important. In order to do that, in order to build a stronger community, I have to connect businesses. I have to connect with businesses and really understand who they are. I have to connect with the LGBT community and understand who they are, and then hopefully bring those groups together. Data is a large part of how I do that. It allows me to understand who they are, what their needs are, what the shortcomings are, where people aren't being served. It also helps me understand how people are, what they're seeking in order to live a more full life. You need to understand why people feel the way that they do. You need to have empathy for them. That's the biggest component to understanding how to build a community to me. If you understand why people are scared, or why people are angry, or why people are sad, or why they're frustrated, you're able to remove those hindrances to allow them to live better lives. So I appreciate being here. I apologize for going over the 6 minutes, but it was fabulous anyway. Thanks.